Someone Might Be Living in My Library by Thoreau-ingLifeAway. Excuse the "my." I'm a strong believer that libraries belong to everyone, but I work there. The job's nothing special whatsoever, just clerical stuff. I'm working on my master's degree with the hope of becoming a librarian soon, so I can't help but feel a bit possessive of the place. Anyway, a little background. I work the night shift in this library at a medical school. It's entirely medicine-related things on the shelves, but we offer other services like computer labs, study rooms, 2D and 3D printing, and it's just a nice quiet place with a strong Wi-Fi signal. Because we have so many resources and so few students, we're also open to the public. I love this because of my beliefs, and I'm always happy to see our public patrons. That being said, the campus is in a rough part of town, kind of an oasis of upper-class wealth situated in the impoverished side of the city. Makes me really angry if I think about it too much. Again, my beliefs. Regardless of my beliefs, though, I have to admit this causes the library problems. Drug addicts and the mentally ill take shelter here a lot, and as committed as I am to helping them use our resources, we can't have them disrupting the other patrons, and we can't have them staying the night. Midnight rolls around sometimes, and we have to get pretty tough to make them leave. People sometimes go into the bathroom and won't come out until we go in and sternly remind them of the hours. One clerk almost walked in on two people fucking in the public break room. A couple different times we found needles. You get the picture. It's important that you know this so you don't jump to super freaky conclusions regarding what I'm about to tell you. I'm hearing some unexplainable noises on the top floor. It wasn't much at first. I'd go up there to do the final check about 15 minutes before close and hear something metallic, metal on metal. I'd stand still until I heard it again, and then follow it to the big wall where we displayed the antique surgical tools. Then I would hear a sound that I swore was different, quieter, coming from a vent. A duct rattling or something. Perfectly normal for an old building. This happened a few times. After a while I brushed it off and forgot about it for a few weeks, ignoring the sound if I heard it. The summer semester was ending and people were staying longer. I was never alone up there, and it was more often students that we had to pressure to leave at night than public patrons. We had our hands full. Until after finals, at least. Until that brief dead space between summer and fall semesters when we only saw our regulars and rarely had to tell anyone to leave. That's when it got louder. I got a real scare when I heard it by Harvey. Harvey is this god-awful training dummy that we have on display up there. This time the noise was violent and sounded like a metal pipe striking concrete or something. It was also close enough to make me actually jump in surprise. It sounded like it came from inside Harvey's table. But that's impossible. The thing is a dead display. I stared at him for a bit, right at his eyes. We humans are easily fooled and subconsciously thinking dolls are human. I remember reading that somewhere. He stared lifelessly up at the ceiling. I was frozen like that, covering my heartbeat for a few tense seconds, when I heard the same sound coming from the other side of the floor. I sprinted towards it, and I heard it again as I was running, closer this time to my right. Without stopping, I adjusted my course at the next aisle and continued running through the stacks, books whipping by my head. This happened a couple more times until I found myself at the elevator lobby, sweating and out of breath. I waited in silence for what felt like several minutes, but was probably 30 seconds. Then I heard a different noise, the elevator shaking in the shaft. Our elevators are shit. They shake every once in a while before descending and it makes a huge racket. It was just a patron from a lower floor leaving. But the elevator's shaking makes a heavy, slow sound, and what I heard was fast and sharp. It couldn't have been what I heard. I begrudgingly checked the rest of the floor with a knot in my throat, but it was empty. I turned off the lights and went home. I suppose this could all fall under the definition of explainable or debunkable or whatever, although I can't imagine the sound I heard coming from anything other than brute intentional force. So I just didn't try to question it, and the following few nights went by like normal. I'd give a suspicious look to Harvey whenever I did the final check, but he just kept staring at the ceiling, no sounds from his mechanical table. Till tonight. As I was doing the rounds and got near Harvey, I thought I saw something move in between the stacks. This isn't abnormal, especially since that night with the noises. I'm on edge, what can I say? I stopped just short of passing by Harvey and took a look down the aisle. Just a step stool. but as I turned around and began walking again, I was immediately frozen in place by fear. He was looking at me. His mannequin head was bent up and twisted at an unnatural angle to stare right at me through the glass of his display case. I didn't move. He didn't either, thank God. But just as I was about to consider it some sick prank, the noise began again, louder than ever. I fell backwards from the nervous shock and barely caught myself. I'm pretty sure I screamed, but I could hardly hear my own voice because the sound kept repeating, over and over, even overlapping itself. It was coming from his mechanical table. I was frozen in horror, and the sound was grating to the point of actually hurting my ears, but I swore in the middle of the chaos I heard something crawling in the false ceiling, something heavy and fast. The noise from Harvey stopped abruptly, and I could faintly hear the heavy scampering noises fade into a further part of the library. No fucking around tonight. I went downstairs immediately and told my supervisor about the noises coming from Harvey. He could tell I was freaked out and took me seriously. I went up there with him and watched him lift the display glass to fix his head. Afterwards, he carefully opened up the table, but saw nothing. Just dead, dusty gears. He said he'd call someone about it on Monday, but he looked genuinely puzzled and maybe a bit worried. For me, that is. I didn't tell him about the noise in the ceiling. He seemed skeptical enough after checking out the machine. I guess I also didn't want to admit to myself that I'd heard it. I'm off until Tuesday night, thank God. I need a drink. But I'll update you if I find out anything more.